Welcome to Tax and Revenue Administration's video on how to complete the Tourism Levy Return for periods after October 1st, 2024 and before April 1st, 2026.
As of October the 1st, 2024, legislation requires any operator or online broker that collects payment for temporary accommodation in Alberta to register and collect, report, and remit the tourism levy.
Who has to file a tourism levy return? An entity that sells, offers for sale, or otherwise provides temporary accommodation in Alberta is required to file a return for a specific collection period. Returns are required to be filed each month or calendar quarter based on the number of sleeping rooms rented or available for rent. Refer to your approval letter to find out whether you are required to file monthly or quarterly. Returns are due on or before the 28th day after the end of each collection period. For example, a return for the January to March calendar quarter is due on or before April 28th. If the due date falls on a weekend or holiday, the next business day becomes the due date.
For example, December 28, 2024 falls on a Saturday, so the due date becomes the next business day, Monday, December 30th, 2024. Operators such as hotels, motels, or inns must report the tourism levy when they collect payment from the purchaser of the accommodation. If no accommodation was provided or purchased during the collection period, a nil return, one where all return line items are zero, is still required to be filed.
Accommodation hosts such as residential units are only required to file a return where the host has collected payment from the purchaser of the accommodation during a collection period.
Online brokers such as Airbnb, Vrbo, Expedia, etc. must report the tourism levy when they collect payment from the purchaser of the accommodation. If no accommodation was provided or purchased during the collection period, a nil return, one where all return line items are zero, is still required to be filed.
How to complete and submit the tourism levy return in tracks
for periods ending
after October the 1st, 2024. Log into your Tracks account. Go to tracks.finance.gov.ab.ca. Select Next on the Tracks availability page. Sign in by entering your alberta.ca account username and password. On the Tracks homepage, select the account you want to file by clicking on the appropriate hyperlink under Tourism Levy. Select Account Actions from the top menu. Select File a Return from the drop-down menu. Select the period end from the drop-down menu. The current period end will appear at the top of the list. Click on Next. Enter revenue from stays. In line 200, Net Reportable Revenue, enter all revenue for stays that the registrant collected payment or facilitated the payment from the purchaser. Revenue reported is net excluded and exempt stays. In line 400, Adjustment, enter an amount in dollars for any adjustments not reported above. Enter a negative number to reduce the revenue and a positive number to increase revenue. Line 405, Description of Adjustment. A description is required when an adjustment amount other than zero is entered in the adjustment line.
Select Review to continue.
Review Summary. Lines 450 and 500 will calculate and populate on the Review Summary page. Review the return. Select Previous to return to the entry screen if you need to make changes. Click Submit to send the return to TRA. Confirmation page. If the return was successfully submitted, you will see a confirmation page on the screen. Select Download to print or save a copy of the confirmation page for your records. To access the submitted information in the future, a PDF containing the submitted information is available in Tracks by selecting Account Actions from the top menu, then selecting View Assessments and Balances. Select Assessments and choose the period from the drop-down menu, then click Submit. Select the PDF icon for the period end in the Submission Details column. Remittances must be received by TRA no later than the 28th day of the month following the end of the period. A notice of assessment will be issued and available in the View Assessments and Balances section in Tracks if the return is assessed differently from what was submitted, if interest and/or penalty was charged, or if there is an amount owing for the reporting period. See the How to Pay section on the Tourism Levy webpage for information about the various acceptable payment methods.
Thank you for watching TRA's video on how to complete the Tourism Levy Return for periods ending after October 1st, 2024 and before April 1st, 2026.